That's Brother Trucker, folks. Brother Trucker, a great local band here in Des Moines, kicking it off with their tune Downtown. We've been using that tune since the inception of this program in 2009. And we're going to continue to use it in the next incarnation of the Fallon Forum, which begins on Monday, because on Monday we move to 1260 AM. That's La Reina, KDFL. It's a local Latino station. They've been in operation for 3 years. We will be the first English-speaking program to help broaden that station's base. I'm real excited about that. That'll be this coming Monday, the inaugural show on La Reina. It'll be at 11 o'clock, 11 to noon, Central Time. Join us for that. We've still working on some program options, but gosh, there's so much to talk about. It will not be a problem. All right, folks, it's been a great time here at Webcast One Live. I do want to thank J. Michael McCoy for allowing us to host the show here for the last couple of years. I'm delighted to tell you that my illustrious, glorious, and ever-faithful producer, Maddie Kane, will be moving with me to the new studio at La Reina. So, Maddie, happy to have you continuing to clean up all the messes that I make. And I don't mean physically, because I'm really, really neat. What I mean is when I screw up and say something wrong and she has to edit it out of the MP3. But that's not going to happen tonight. We're going to get it all right tonight, folks. We've got a guest on the program, Leo Grillo, joining us from Los Angeles, California. Leo is the founder of Delta Rescue. This is, I believe, the largest no-kill animal shelter in the country, if I'm not mistaken. And Leo is, I believe it's been around for about 35 years. And Leo is working on a book. Leo, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ed, and congratulations on your new show. So I can't wait to be on that one, too.
Nice. Good touch. I like that. Just right up to the plate there. So Los Angeles, as far as I know, Leo, Los Angeles has horrible weather. Because the last time I was there, you had 3 months of drought. No, 18 months of drought. And the Great March for Climate Action set off from Los Angeles on March 1st of this year, and it poured. We were like drowned rats. Now, I want to believe that's not normal weather, and I don't think it was. Well, from what I heard, it was one of the heaviest storms you guys have experienced. I don't know whether you remember it or not.
No, well, we get rain so infrequently that, a cloudburst doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, this is more like a Midwestern thunderstorm all day long. I was very impressed. It made me feel very at home and a little bit hypothermic.
Yeah, well, you see, the problem out here, this is the drought. This is God knows how long now. They're saying it's climate change. They're saying this. I just read something this morning where this happened 150,000 years ago, and, we're headed into that. Whatever it is, if you go to a lake out here, this is the weirdest thing. Go to a lake. Sometimes I have a dog I have to rescue, I end up in a lake. Where you're standing, where the water line is a foreign planet. You're down 200 feet or so in some of these lakes. If you look up, you can't see the top. You just see a mountain, but it's not even a mountain. You see ledges, like steps, these ledges. You're on the 150, 200 feet below the water line.
Wow. And that's what the climate scientists are saying, that we have these periods, more dramatic weather, extreme drought followed by extremely heavy rain. But it sounds like that rain that you got, that I got, in March 1st in Los Angeles has not done you much good at all.
No, in fact, that was just to clean the streets. It was just one of our tricks.
Clean the streets and try to wash the climate marchers away before we could get too far.
No, you see out here. You guys have some snow. Well, maybe you're sick of snow. I grew up in New England, so I'm sure we're sick of it. But out here, snow is one of the most romantic things you can have. We get hardly anything, but snow would be, white Christmas would be a miracle.
In terms of romance, we prefer a nice bottle of wine and maybe some exotic cheese.
Well, how did you know what I was preparing for tomorrow?
Oh, good. Well, if I can get there, I will. Okay.
There you go.
All right, but
really, as far as the drought, I want to say one other thing.
Sure.
There are so many, abandoned animals, dogs, cats, horses now, and they're abandoning horses. There's nothing to drink out there. I'm talking about food and inventory and all this. There's nothing to drink. Nevada, we have people dumping pet horses, thinking they're going to live with the Mustangs. It's like people dumping dogs thinking they're going to live with the coyotes,
Now, where does I want to talk about the impact on animals too, but where does the drought lead? If this continues, how does L.A., how does Phoenix, how does anything in California, how does the tremendously agriculturally productive valley, the San Joaquin Valley, how do these things survive if this continues?
Yeah, they probably won't. There, in fact, I saw a prediction once that in the next 100 years, this is all the desert, and like Colorado is going to be our weather. What we used to have.
Wow.
It's just crazy, but it is. Yeah, maybe we contributed to it, but mostly there's a cycle. There's always these cycles. The Earth keeps shifting, keeps changing. We go back and forth, back and forth.
Well, the problem here, of course,
we're
is that the changes are happening at lightning speed that is, beyond anything geological time has ever experienced. That's the.
I think, lightning in our lifetime.
Yeah. Well, hey, Leo. So, beyond that problem, you've got some other important work that you attend to and have been doing so for a long time with Delta Rescue. Tell us about Delta Rescue.
Well, I like to say I started when I was 5, but it was 35 years ago. I mean, it's a long, 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 long haul. I found a bunch of dogs in the woods one day when I was a young actor in Hollywood. And what do? You feed them. And then you go back and back again and again and again. Nobody knew anything. Nobody could tell me what to do and how to do it. I had a few dozen dogs. So eventually I solved the problem, brought them into a rescue kennel, which is a place that gives you, good rates. And I started, doing that. And so for a couple of years, I devoted my every moment I had to taking care of these animals and finding them homes and, working with other rescuers and helping them. And then eventually, I realized we needed our own place. I had 150 dogs still out in the wilderness. I had to bring them in. So, we shopped around for about a year to find our own place, and we got a condemned kennel down in El Monte, California. And it was a nightmare, but I cleaned up as best we could, brought in the 150 dogs, and I knew the moment you step over that line. See, that was a big thing.
Yeah,
stepping over the line into now we own a kennel, which is a shelter for at the time. It'll be our shelter
for 150 dogs.
Yeah, there goes everything. There goes your life. I mean, once you commit to if I step over this line, I remember the Alamo. Remember the famous, when I was a kid anyway, was it Fess Parker was Davy Crockett, and the famous, you draw a line in the sand, and those who want to, leave, but those who want to stay and fight for Texas, step over the line. Well, I kept seeing that line with these dogs. I kept seeing the line in the sand and going, where's the drop-off point? I'm going to step over. But the other thing is, I had one, and then this is really the whole secret to everything. I had one guiding principle that was spoken to me somehow, because I'm, how the heck would I think it up? And it was what's right for the animal. So every decision, and way back then there were thousands a day, like the little branches on the little trees, what's right for the animals, regardless of, any consequences to me, to family, to, ex-wives, the whole deal. I mean, what's right for the animals. So every step of the way, the answer to the question, what's right for the animals, is what I've done. Over the years, this has evolved into, getting them out of the city, getting them into the country where they can have land, they could run around, they could play. And that, became buying 23 acres in the foothills above Los Angeles, 3,000-foot level. And starting there, today it's 115 acres. And, there have been, on average, 1,500 dogs and cats and horses there since about 97 or 98.
Wow.
So we keep that kind of steady. We lose them. It's attrition. It's care for life. It's not a shelter. You don't come and get dogs, and you certainly never give up a child. To us, as an animal's a child.
Sure.
So mine are all rescued from the wilderness. Used to be from the mountains. Used to be, from the forest. But amazingly, when you clean up areas and you take out all the abandoned animals, and consistently, you keep it up so that nobody gets the idea to dump new ones. And so you move to another area. Well, now it's the desert. I have a lot of animals in from the desert, and they have a whole set of problems. The most important one is where they get water.
Right. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a mess.
So
we are care for life.
So is as heartless as it seems, there are people who obtain a pet, and again, your cell shelter is not just for dogs, correct?
Dogs, cats, and horses, but along the way. I'm not going to, we have goats, we have pigs, we have, the animals need help, you take them in.
Yeah. And again, that sounds like a bottomless pit, unfortunately, but so much negligence out there in terms of, responsible pet ownership. Where do you draw the line? How do you how do you manage the facility in a way that can, that can respect the needs of the animals you have without overwhelming your resources?
No, it's absolutely what we're doing. The whole Care for Life thing started. I wrote a book on adoptions. I told people how to find homes for pets. I did a movie with a bunch of stars at the time, and then I realized after 12, 15 years it doesn't work for us. And to clarify, I did some research. I had paid a company to do market research and find out about animals and what's going on in the world. And the number one statistic that came out of this research was that people in America, this is like 20 years ago, before the recession, before the housing thing, people in America keep their pets on average 2.5 years. That's the national average. And
2.5.
Wait a minute. 2.5 years. I go, wait a minute. I'm sort of seeing that. I'm seeing that. And I know how to adopt, and I'm adopting to terrific people. But they're not keeping them for life, many of them. And you start doing it. Wait a minute. You keep your pets forever. I keep my pets forever. If the average was 2.5 years, imagine, the short term on a lot of them, 3 months, 4 months. Puppies at Christmas, they grow up 6 months later. They're adult dogs, they toss them. So it was really shocking. So that's when we became Care for Life. I says, here's the thing. And I promoted and promoted and promoted. And to this day, all these organizations, there's all these little groups. Everybody, I don't know about you, but out in the street corners of L.A., every street corner has a new rescue group. And what they do is they go to the pound, which is something that I always advocated. Go to the pound, get an animal who's going to die. Find him a new home. And if you give him 2.5 years average, you've done a wonderful thing for him. He had 2.5 hours. Now you gave him 2.5 years. Mine, they've already been dealt a dirty blow. They've already been, emotionally and physically harmed and tossed. I promise them, I make them a solemn vow when they come in, this will never happen to you again. I'm going to take care of you. And the only way I could do that is if I take care of them, and I can watch them. I tried a satellite shelter once. I tried a satellite exactly what we have. We built it about 600-700 miles away because it was a big mess in the desert, horrible thing. And we ended up having to bring, at the time there were 200 and some odd dogs left. We brought them all up here to our sanctuary and closed the other one because unless you're there every day, maintaining the standard, keeping the bar high, then, how do you control what people are doing to care for your animals? So even your own people caring for them, you have to watch them every day.
Yeah.
You have to understand that they're children, they need you, and they look, you have a dog, a cat, and other people listening have dogs and cats. You come home and you know what it is. You know what it is to have that child jumping at you and, just enjoying you. And that is the way, I feel toward all 1,500.
Yeah,
and that's where the burden is. Is keeping the bar high, keeping the standard high. We're doing Christmas stockings again. Every year it's Christmas for the kids. Why not? So we give Christmas stockings.
Christmas stockings for the animals.
Totally. If you go on the website, you'll see the stocking hanging up. But they know the stockings are theirs. They know.
Right, but what does a poodle want for Christmas in its stocking?
We put smaller rawhide candy canes in the poodle one. And we have about 60 or 70 small
beef flavored candy canes.
They're rawhide,
Right. Okay.
Whatever. But other things, there's other things. The dogs absolutely, like the kids on Christmas, they watch their stocking when the attendant comes around, and we tell them a couple of times a day, give them a treat. Well, when the hand reaches up, the dog knows the one on the left is mine. The stocking on the right is my mate's. Yeah, and they wait, and they this is it. They sit there and they look up, like that RCA commercial where the dog was always looking up, hearing the sound.
Sure,
They're looking up their stocking.
No, but cats are probably okay. You're trying to do something nice for me, but I'm a cat and I don't care. I mean, did they also get stocking stuffers, and do they appreciate it?
They do. No, they do. They love it. Cats love toys. And
I've noticed.
We found a new one. Yeah, if you get some paper and roll it up in a ball and toss it across the floor, that's the best toy. I mean, they love that.
Well, my favorite game with my cat, Leo, is and my cat's about 6-7 years old. So it's still playful, but I cover it with a towel on the bed. And then I start yanking at the towel, and it starts growling ferociously, attacking the towel. I have to be careful; it'll tear some flesh out my fingers. And it's usually very docile. But when you put you start this game where you put it under a blanket or a sheet or a towel, and it just goes crazy. But I haven't maybe I'll have to try that this year. Maybe I'll have to do a little stocking stuffer for my cat.
Yeah, you get stocking stuffers. They love them. They love the catnip stuff. Anything that has catnip in them, and they toss them around and they play. And when you have, we have over 700 cats. There may be 30 in this room and 50 in this one, and different categories. They're all on the website. You can see them.
Yeah.
But the cats love to play.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah.
So now one of our sponsors on this program, Dr. Kim Holding with the Story County Veterinary Clinic, about 30 miles north of Des Moines, she has argued for a long time and very, very vocally that people need to be more responsible about spaying and neutering their animals. Is that an area of activity that you get into at all?
Oh, well, not for the public, but for our own. Yes, of course. Everybody's spaying. We don't do this early spay and neuter because it's not. I mean, you're working on a little tiny puppy or a kitten, and go, wait a minute, this is just not right. So we don't do that.
Sure.
That's a trend. They lose a lot of them. No, we do them at the 6-month point.
Gotcha.
But no, you spay and neuter everybody. Yeah, absolutely. However, we are Care for Life. This isn't a religious thing. Well, it is maybe because I'm kind of religious about it, but it's not a religious. If I rescue a pregnant dog or cat, we do not do this thing that a lot of rescue people end up doing called abortion spays. That number one, that is extremely dangerous for the mother. But
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, but these animals, it's like a premature baby, and you're yanking it out and it suffocates. I mean, it's horrible. So no, we don't do that. But spaying and neutering, yeah, we spay and neuter everybody. Puppies and kittens, they get their spay, 6 months. The neuters, if they're developed, they get them at 6 months. Otherwise, they can go, 7, 8, 9 months.
Wow. All right. So there's I think pretty much there's universal agreement in what we've been talking about so far. You get into the realm of farm animals, and I know you've talked about horses, but when we're talking about farm animals that have a food component for many people in this country, chickens, sheep, cows.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that element of the animal kingdom? And I know that the only situation I'm aware of is a farm near Portland, Oregon, that will take hens that urban chicken growers no longer want. The hens aren't laying anymore, and the family that has them doesn't want them anymore, doesn't want to butcher them. So they bring them to the chicken retreat center. I can't remember what it's called now, but
right.
What are your thoughts on it? I know that here in Iowa, at least, that gets a little more controversial because, yeah, dogs, cats, that's fine. But when you start getting into animals that we tend to think of as food, there's a different mentality develops.
Yeah, I did a thing once at a club, a dinner speech kind of thing. And they asked me if I was a vegetarian, and I said, well, for me, it doesn't work. I've tried it, and plus I'd be a hypocrite. I'm, feeding animals to my rescues. But that said, I said, we are the descendants of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the mightiest scavenger of all time.
We're the descendants of the Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Well, that was my.
Okay, all right. Not evolution, not in terms of evolution, but in terms of attitude.
Yeah, we're scavengers. We're scavengers. Now, when you get to the predator part, I mean, I don't hunt. I don't buy it. I don't buy a lot of this stuff. They're not shooting back. It's it's not fair. So I don't do that.
So wait, but you would hunt deer if they were allowed to shoot back?
Wouldn't that be fun?
What? It'd be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I know.
We get some airsoft. We'll do it with airsoft pellets.
I mean, we should not talk too much about this on the air because the NRA might actually latch onto this because it would open up an entire new range of weapons they could create. Weapons that could be operated by animals with hoofs and 4 legs.
Yeah, you just put a little video camera on them and no, but really, I'm not a predator, in that sense. So, I mean, people are. I just happen not to be. I can't look into the eyes and shoot them. And the thing that I have against this is controversial where you are. I'm totally against well, at least what they're doing in Los Angeles. They have 4-H, and then they have what's the other one? The Future Farmers, FFA.
Yeah, Future Farmers of America, yep.
These kids are, here's what they're doing. They're growing up a little animal, let's say a little steer or a little pig, and then they are forced, part of the deal, they have to take them to market. They have to take them to the fair, and they have to sell them for food. And the people say, well, they're the Future Farmers of America. Yeah, but this animal is their best friend. How can you kill your best friend and eat him? That's what they're doing. So you're going to desensitize the kids so they can become farmers and they could look at animals differently. Well, that's all well and good, but what you're telling them is it's okay to love this steer and grow him up, and he's a beautiful calf, and he won a prize at the fair, and this guy bought him and took him home and ate him, So that's really traumatic for the kids. That's the part. Now, back in farm country, maybe the kids grow up as farmers. They do this all the time. They see it all the time.
Yeah.
But here, the kids grow up in the city, and then they get into these projects, and they kill their best friends. That's the, it's just weird.
Yeah. I'm trying to relate to that.
It's hard. We all eat the meat. They're going to say, well, he's a hypocrite. He's eating the meat. Yeah. I'm a scavenger.
Now I got to admit, Leo, I am a chicken. I raise chickens. I have about 1,000 square feet of garden right here in the heart of Des Moines, and I have a flock of 12 chickens.
They lay eggs, eh?
Well, they did, but now that they ain't laying, they ain't staying. They're done laying, it's time to send them to a higher and better place, and that would be my pot of soup.
Speaking of which, they're going to get you. They're going to get you back, Isaac.
They're going to get me back? Is the NRA going to equip them with guns as well?
No, that's the NRA. Come on. I'm not a pacifist. I shoot. I have a different kind of weapon. My thing is.
But what's wrong? Especially again in the new climate era, we're going to have to become more resilient, more localized in terms of how we produce our food. What's wrong with backyard chickens becoming soup pot chickens when they're done?
No, you know what? I did a big thing on rendering and the poisons that go into the feed and all the rest of it. And frankly, I said, well, how do you feed my daughter's 15? How do you feed your daughter? Well, I bring in grass-fed from small farms. Because you have to look, and I have this, I'm questioning this too. You have a situation, a small farm where people, have, let's say, cattle, and they have a wonderful life. They're roaming around, they're eating the grass, they're doing all kinds of things. One day they come in, kaboom, it's over. But is it better to not have lived at all? Is it better to not have those 2 years in the sun and playing? And so I look at that and say, well, it is what it is. Now, one of the things I'm doing is my Rainbow Bridge. A lot of animal people know what Rainbow Bridge is. There's a poem that somebody wrote that really gets to everybody, and it's about your animals passing away, and they go over to the Rainbow Bridge. If they were, humans, they might call that whatever the religion is, heaven or this or that. But they go to Rainbow Bridge. Why the bridge? Where are they waiting? Well, they're waiting for you. They're having a good time romping around and waiting, and they're waiting for you to come over. And that's the loyalty of the animals.
That is charming, and that would work for me with my cat, and if I had a dog, probably my dog. But for my chickens, I'm gonna refer to my soup pot as Rainbow Bridge.
Well, like I said, they'll tell you when you get there.
Okay.
Maybe they say, look, you gave me a good life, and maybe that's the answer. You gave me a great couple of years. I wouldn't have been born. I wouldn't have had those 2 years if you hadn't done this, for me.
All right.
Maybe just wonderful.
I'll take my chances on that. Hey, one more question for you, Leo. I don't know how closely you follow politics or the recent election, but Iowa was the state that put the U.S. Senate into the Republican column as they were calling the elections that night, calling the different races as they came due.
Yep.
You're familiar with our new senator from Iowa?
No, I'm not heavily into it, but I remember that. Iowa.
Joni Ernst.
I drove through Iowa when I came out here a long, long time ago.
Okay, her name's Joni Ernst, and her claim to fame and the campaign ad that got her some national attention, including, let's say a delicious little spot on Stephen Colbert's show, was hi, I'm Joni Ernst. I grew up on an Iowa farm castrating hogs, and when I get to Washington, we're going to make Congress squeal. Anyway,
If I could have an absentee ballot from Iowa, she gets my vote.
Oh my gosh! Well, then my vote. She did not get mine. I just.
Is she Republican or Democrat?
Republican, and
Republican. Okay.
and let's just say a lot. Some of us had a lot of problems with a bunch of her positions on issues. But I wonder where she would stand on the issue of no-kill shelters. I have no idea. But
yeah,
anyway,
I saw an ad. I mean, you see some crazy ads. There's a whole bunch of women now. They're these expert hunters, and they're on some reality show, and they show them how they're going to go hunt hogs. Well, what I saw is they're dragging wild boar by their legs with rope, and they have dogs biting at them, and that's called hunting. Well,
that's just cruelty. Yeah, that's just there's nothing impressive about that at all. Yeah. Well, I really do appreciate the work you do, and I appreciate the conversation, and fascinated by your book. And again, if folks want to learn more about your work, or perhaps even buy a copy of your book, what do they do? Where do they go?
Well, we don't have the book yet. This is the thing I'm writing now, and I'm asking the listeners to go to the website deltarescue.org and email your story. If you have in your world, if you have an animal that has passed that you just know that he's there, he's communicating with you, he's waiting for you, he's on the other side. I'm looking for stories to put in this book. It's like a chicken soup for the soul, where you get all these different stories.
I have the perfect person for you, and I'm going to ask him about getting in touch with you after the show. He was a man here in Des Moines who a single man who was very attached to his dog, and the dog passed away in mid-February of this year, and this gentleman had been interested in joining the Great March for Climate Action. He wasn't going to, though, because he was so committed to taking care of his dog. Right. When his dog died, I mean, it was traumatic for him, but he felt it was a sign that he should go on this march. And he started in Los Angeles and went to Arizona, and then he joined the march at 2 other locations. Was a great contributor to the march's success. But for him, it felt like the right thing to do in terms of how to move beyond the grief that he was experiencing with the passing of his dog. And his story is very powerful. I'm going to put him in touch with you. I think it might be a good connection.
And when you get there, you'll find out that he probably knows that his dog was helping him from the other side. His dog is with him.
I'll bet he would agree with you. With you. Anyway, folks, Leo Grillo, you can contact him at deltarescue.com or org. Was it com?
Either way, it gets to us, but org. Yeah.
Okay, deltarescue.org. Thanks so much for joining us. And again, I appreciate the good work you're doing, and I hope you get some rain.
Me too. Meanwhile, happy Thanksgiving for you, and enjoy your snow, the very romantic snow that you're having.
All right, and you enjoy that romantic wine and cheese that I would trade you some snow for. All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, folks, for listening to the Fallon Forum. And remember, we're going to go live on Monday at 11 o'clock at 12:60 a.m., right on the heart of your AM dial. Manny Kane will again be continuing as the producer of that show. We're very grateful to Juan Rodriguez and the folks at La Reina. We'll be kicking that show off. Stay tuned electronically by email and on Facebook. I'll be letting you know what kind of program content we're going to be looking at. But very excited about the change and looking forward to it. Hope you'll stick around with us. And again, thanks to Webcast Live 1 for hosting this program and for hosting this show for the past couple years.